Have you ever wondered what really makes women vulnerable in relationships? And here's the thing. Many men don't see these weaknesses clearly. They assume women think like them, or they ignore the signals completely. That's why so many relationships fall apart. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to reveal not just the obvious weaknesses, but the hidden ones that most people never talk about. And once you understand them, you'll look at women and your own relationships in a completely different way. 1. The need for emotional security. The very first weakness, and I would say the foundation of all the rest, is emotional security. Many men underestimate this. A woman can be financially independent, strong in her career, socially respected, and still crumble inside if she doesn't feel emotionally secure with her man. What does emotional security mean? It's not just about saying, "I love you." It's about consistency. It's about showing that you're reliable, not disappearing, not hot and cold, not leaving her guessing about where she stands with you. Example: think of a man who texts his girlfriend one day with passion, then ignores her for 3 days. To him, it's casual. To her, it's a storm of anxiety. Psychology backs this up. Attachment theory shows that women, more than men, tend to lean toward an anxious attachment style if they feel uncertainty in love. And that anxiety can turn into jealousy, overthinking, or even self-sabotage. So as a man, if you don't understand this weakness, you'll misread her behavior. You'll think she's overreacting, when in reality, she's just wired to seek emotional stability. 2. Sensitivity to social status. This one is huge and often misunderstood. Women are naturally more sensitive to the social status of their partner. I don't mean every woman wants a millionaire or a celebrity. What I mean is that a woman instinctively evaluates where a man stands in the social hierarchy. Is he respected? Does he have ambition? Do people take him seriously? Jordan Peterson often points out that across cultures, women tend to select mates based on competence and status more than men do. That doesn't mean superficial status. It means the ability to climb, to grow, to be recognized. Example: if a man loses his job and sits at home without any plan for months, many women will feel deeply unsettled. Not because of money alone, but because of what that loss represents: a lack of direction, a loss of standing. And here's the weakness. Because women are more sensitive to this, they can experience deep anxiety when their man appears stagnant. It's not gold digging, it's survival instinct. 3. Fear of abandonment. This weakness is tied to biology. For thousands of years, women carried children, meaning abandonment by a partner could be catastrophic. Even in today's modern world, that old wiring remains. The fear of being left, physically, emotionally, or socially, haunts many women. That's why sudden silence, ghosting, or withdrawal feels like betrayal on a level men often don't grasp. Example: think of a couple arguing. The man gets angry, storms out, and says, "I need space." To him, it's just cooling down. To her, it can feel like the whole relationship is at risk. Culturally, this also explains why women tend to worry more about commitment signals. Engagement, marriage, shared home, even small routines, all of these are ways she feels safe against abandonment. 4. Sensitivity to criticism. Here's one you probably noticed before. Women often feel criticism more sharply than men. Not always, of course, but in many cases, a small remark can cut deep. Why? Because women, in general, are more attuned to social harmony. When a man criticizes them, especially in a blunt or careless way, it feels like rejection of their entire being, not just a small behavior. Example: if you tell a man you drive terribly, he might laugh it off or argue back. But if you tell a woman you cook badly, she might carry that wound for years. This doesn't mean women are weaker. It means they're more emotionally receptive. And that sensitivity can become a weakness if not handled with care. As a man, if you know this, you'll communicate differently. You'll frame feedback in a way that supports rather than destroys. 5. Pressure of appearance. This one you see everywhere. Women live under constant pressure about their looks. Magazines, social media, movies, they're bombarded with the message that their value comes from beauty. And while men also feel pressure, women face it at a much harsher level. Example: a woman may spend hours choosing an outfit, not because she's vain, but because she feels judged every second she steps outside. A wrinkle, a few extra pounds, or even just a bad hair day can feel like a crisis. And here's the cultural link. Evolutionary psychology suggests that physical beauty has long been tied to fertility signals. That's why society reinforces it so strongly. But it becomes a weakness when a woman ties her entire worth to appearance. As men, understanding this helps us be supportive, not dismissive. Telling a woman, "Don't worry, you look fine," might sound kind, but it ignores the depth of her inner struggle. Suspense break. We've covered 5 weaknesses so far: emotional security, social status, abandonment, criticism, and appearance. But the next 5 are even deeper. They deal with trust, motherhood instincts, and the inner battles women rarely talk about out loud. Stay with me, because number 7 and number 9 are especially overlooked by men, and they might just change how you see women forever. 6. Overthinking and anxiety. Many women struggle with overthinking. Call it analysis, call it intuition, but it often leads to spirals of worry. Example: if you don't text her back for 3 hours, she might not just think, "he's busy." She might imagine 10 different scenarios. Maybe you're losing interest, maybe you're angry, maybe you're hiding something. This weakness is tied to both biology and culture. Women have historically been responsible for nurturing and protecting children, which required high vigilance. That vigilance, in today's world, often shows up as overthinking in relationships. As a man, if you don't see this for what it is, you'll get frustrated and dismissive. But if you understand it, you can provide reassurance and reduce the spiral. 7. Maternal vulnerability. This one is profound. A woman's maternal instincts are both her strength and her weakness. Once a woman becomes a mother, or even when she contemplates motherhood, her vulnerabilities intensify. She worries about safety, stability, and the future in ways men rarely experience at the same level. Example: a new mother may obsess over every small sound her baby makes. She may fear losing her partner more intensely, because now abandonment means not just her pain, but her child's survival. This weakness isn't something negative. It's deeply human. But as men, we must recognize how powerful it is. Ignoring it or mocking it will destroy trust. Supporting it will create unbreakable bonds. 8. Sensitivity to emotional neglect. Now we move into something most men underestimate. Neglect is not the same as abuse. You don't need to insult her, cheat on her, or betray her for her to feel wounded. Sometimes the silence, the lack of attention, or the absence of small gestures hurt more than harsh words. Example: imagine a husband who never says thank you, never notices the effort his wife puts into the home, or never initiates affection. To him, it's just routine. To her, it feels like erasure. This is a weakness because women are naturally wired to nurture. They give a lot: emotion, care, and detail. When that energy isn't reciprocated, it creates an emotional void. And that void turns into resentment, withdrawal, or even a slow death of love. From a psychological perspective, this links back to recognition needs. People need to feel seen and valued. But for women, neglect cuts deeper because their social roles have long been tied to caregiving and emotional labor. 9. Vulnerability to manipulation through attention. This one is often hidden, and many women don't even admit it to themselves. Women are particularly vulnerable to manipulation through attention. Why? Because attention equals validation. If a woman feels ignored by her partner, but suddenly receives praise, flattery, or affection from another man, she may become susceptible, even if she doesn't act on it. Example: think of a woman in a long-term relationship where her partner barely notices her anymore. Then a coworker compliments her daily, asks about her feelings, and remembers small details. Over time, she may develop an attachment, not because she doesn't love her partner, but because her weakness for attention was triggered. This doesn't mean women are shallow. It means attention is food for the soul. Men often need respect. Women often need recognition. Deny either for too long, and temptation appears. Culturally, this is why marketing, media, and even social media platforms target women with likes, hearts, and comments. It taps into a psychological soft spot. If you're a man, knowing this weakness doesn't mean controlling her. It means making sure she never feels starved for attention in your presence. 10. Struggle between independence and dependence. This last weakness is perhaps the most complex: the internal struggle between independence and dependence. Modern culture tells women to be independent, successful, and self-sufficient, and many are. But at the same time, biology and psychology create a natural pull toward connection, reliance, and sometimes even dependence on a strong partner. This creates inner conflict. A woman may say, "I don't need a man," but deep inside she may still long for protection, guidance, and partnership. Example: a career-driven woman might have everything: money, status, respect, yet in private she might crave a partner who can take the lead, make decisions, and let her rest from always being strong. This isn't hypocrisy, it's duality, and the weakness here is the constant tension between two forces. Too much independence, and she risks loneliness. Too much dependence, and she risks losing herself. Men who don't recognize this will either push too hard for control or step back completely. The balance is an understanding that both sides exist within her. Recap of the 10 weaknesses. Let's quickly recap all 10 before we move into deeper analysis. Emotional security, sensitivity to social status, fear of abandonment, sensitivity to criticism, pressure of appearance, overthinking and anxiety, maternal vulnerability, sensitivity to emotional neglect, vulnerability to manipulation through attention, struggle between independence and dependence. Now the key question is, what do these weaknesses mean for men? Should we exploit them, avoid them, or learn from them? Stay with me because I'm going to break this down in a way that connects psychology, culture, and real-life experience. And trust me, point number 3 in this next section will surprise you. Deeper analysis. A. Weakness doesn't mean inferiority. First, let's clear something up. When I say weakness, I don't mean women are inferior. I mean these are soft spots, vulnerabilities, areas where extra care and awareness are needed. Men have weaknesses too. For example, men are often more vulnerable to status failure, loneliness, or rejection. Women's weaknesses simply manifest differently. If men approach these female weaknesses with arrogance, they destroy relationships. If they approach them with understanding, they build stronger bonds. B. The biological foundation. Many of these weaknesses trace back to biology. For most of human history, women depended on men for physical protection and survival, especially during pregnancy and child-rearing. That history shaped instincts that remain today. For example, the fear of abandonment isn't just emotional, it's a leftover survival strategy. The pressure of appearance isn't just vanity, it's tied to reproductive signaling. The struggle between independence and dependence isn't hypocrisy, it's the clash between modern freedom and ancient instincts. Once you see this, you stop blaming women for being too sensitive or too demanding. You realize these patterns are deeply human. C. The cultural overlay. On top of biology, culture amplifies these weaknesses. Social media amplifies appearance pressure. Movies and TV amplify the need for attention. Consumer culture amplifies the struggle between independence and dependence by telling women they can have it all, career, family, beauty, success, without showing the psychological cost. That's why men must be even more attentive today. A modern woman isn't just fighting her instincts, she's fighting the noise of culture telling her she's never enough. D. Everyday examples. Let's make this more concrete with some everyday examples. At work, a woman may downplay her achievements but feel crushed if her partner ignores them at home. In dating, a man who shows consistent reliability will instantly feel different from the man who plays games. In marriage, small gestures, a compliment, a hug, a shared laugh, carry much more weight than grand but rare gifts. If you don't understand these patterns, you'll misread the signals. You'll think she's nagging when she's really afraid of neglect. You'll think she's insecure when she's really wired for emotional stability. Suspense break. Now, before I give you my final thoughts and bring all of this together, let me say this. The real challenge for men is not just knowing these weaknesses, it's knowing how to respond. Because if you respond wrongly, her weaknesses can turn into weapons against you. But if you respond wisely, they turn into opportunities for deep connection. And in the last part of this video, I'm going to share exactly how men should act when faced with these weaknesses. Plus, I'll give you my personal view on which weakness is the most dangerous if ignored. So stay with me until the end, because this next part will bring everything full circle. How men should respond to these weaknesses. We've covered the 10 weaknesses. Now the real question is, what should men actually do with this knowledge? If you only see these weaknesses as tools for manipulation, you'll destroy trust. But if you see them as a guidebook, you can build deeper, healthier, and more fulfilling relationships. Here are some practical ways men should respond. 1. Provide consistency, not chaos. For emotional security, nothing matters more than consistency. Don't play hot and cold. Don't disappear without explanation. Don't create doubt when you can create trust. Example: if you're busy with work, send a quick message. I'll be tied up today, but I'll talk to you tonight. That tiny act of consistency can prevent hours of unnecessary worry. Consistency tells her, you can rely on me, and reliability is the antidote to her deepest fears. More active voice. Friendly tone. 2. Grow in status. Don't fake it. Remember her sensitivity to social status? The solution isn't to fake wealth or show off. The solution is to grow, gradually and authentically. Ambition matters. Drive matters. Even if you're not at the top, showing that you're moving forward reassures her. Example: you don't need a Ferrari, you need a plan. Show her you're learning new skills, working on yourself, and taking responsibility. That speaks louder than flashy symbols. 3. Reassure without becoming a babysitter. Fear of abandonment is real, but you don't need to smother her. You need balance. Show commitment through words and actions. but also hold your frame as a man. Reassure her, yes, but don't collapse into constant appeasement. Example: if she says, "Are you going to leave me?" Don't just laugh or dismiss it. Look her in the eye and say, "No, I'm here." That reassurance will echo in her mind for days. 4. Criticize with care. When giving feedback, think carefully. Criticism can be destructive if delivered carelessly. Use what psychologists call the compliment sandwich. Affirm, critique, affirm. Example: instead of saying, "You're too emotional," you can say, "I love how caring you are, but sometimes your emotions overwhelm you. Still, I admire your passion." See the difference? One tears down. The other guides while protecting dignity. 5. Protect her from the mirror of culture. You can't eliminate society's pressure on appearance, but you can soften it. Compliment her sincerely, not just on looks, but on her personality, her achievements, her presence. Don't let beauty be the only frame through which she sees herself. Example: instead of always saying, "You look beautiful," add, "I love how smart you are," or "You make me laugh every day." Balance matters. 6. Calm the spiral of overthinking. Don't dismiss overthinking with, "You're crazy." That's gasoline on the fire. Instead, interrupt the spiral with clarity. Provide answers, reassurance, and perspective. Example: if she asks, "Why didn't you reply for 3 hours?" Don't say, "Stop overthinking." Say, "I was in a meeting, but I thought about you." One response escalates the spiral. The other calms it. 7. Respect maternal instincts. If she's a mother, or even preparing to be, treat her maternal instincts as sacred. Don't mock them, don't dismiss them, support them. Example: if she worries too much about the baby, don't roll your eyes. Step in and help. Show her she's not carrying the weight alone. That transforms maternal vulnerability into a bond of trust. 8. Never let neglect creep in. Neglect is silent, but it kills love faster than shouting. Make small gestures daily. Thank her, notice her effort, initiate affection. It doesn't need to be dramatic. Example: say, "Dinner was great," or "I love how you take care of things." Tiny affirmations prevent giant wounds. 9. Give healthy attention. If you don't give attention, someone else might. That doesn't mean obsessing over her. It means listening, noticing, and remembering details. Show her she matters. Example: ask, "How was your day?" and actually listen. Remember small things she tells you. Attention is not about quantity, it's about quality. 10. Embrace the balance of independence and dependence. This is the hardest one. Women struggle with independence versus dependence, and men often don't know how to respond. The answer is balance. Don't try to make her fully dependent. Don't demand full independence. Create a partnership where both sides can breathe. Example: if she says, "I can handle this myself," let her. But also say, "If you ever want me to take over, I'm here." That way she has freedom and support. Which weakness is the most dangerous? Now let me give you my personal opinion. Out of all 10, the most dangerous weakness for women, and the one men often ignore, is emotional neglect. Why? Because it creeps in silently. It doesn't explode like jealousy or abandonment fears. It erodes slowly. I've seen relationships where a woman stayed for years, outwardly calm, but inside she was dying of neglect. Then one day she left, and the man was shocked. If men could fix just one thing, I'd say, never let your woman feel unseen. Cultural comparison. Let's zoom out for a moment. Different cultures handle these weaknesses differently. In traditional societies, the weaknesses tied to abandonment and maternal vulnerability were supported by extended families. Communities provided security. In modern societies, women often face these weaknesses alone, with only their partner to lean on. That makes men's role even more critical today. In some cultures, beauty pressure is extreme, while in others, status sensitivity dominates. But across the world, the same patterns repeat, just in different flavors. This shows us something important. These weaknesses are not random. They're universal human traits shaped by history, biology, and culture. Final thoughts. So, we've gone through the top 10 weaknesses, explored their roots, and talked about how men should respond. But let me leave you with this. Weakness is not a flaw. Weakness is where intimacy lives. If you know someone's weaknesses and protect them, you build trust. If you exploit them, you destroy love. Women are not asking men to be perfect. They're asking men to understand, to listen, and to act with care. And men who do this, not just once, but consistently, are the men who build relationships that last. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 10 weaknesses surprised you the most? Do you agree that emotional neglect is the most dangerous, or do you think another one tops the list? Let's talk about it in the comments. I read them all, and I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you found value in this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content like this, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Stay tuned, because in upcoming videos, we'll dive into the weaknesses men don't want to admit, and how women can understand them better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.